Ladies and gentlemen, this is the state of the scene.
Let's talk about Half Living Things by Alpha Wolf. This is the Melbourne, Australia outfit's third studio album, arriving the 5th of April via Sharptone Records, which will be the Friday that you're listening to this. Half Living Things consists of 12 tracks and is the much anticipated follow-up to 2020's A Quiet Place to Die LP. Some quotes from the Half Living Things press release. On the album's essence, vocalist Loki had this to say, quote, "There can be no inner conflict without the constant tug-of-war between desire and disdain. The things you want versus the things you need, or the things that make you feel alive against the parts of it that do not. You cannot grow new parts without leaving the dead ones behind. You cannot be settled until you have truly known the opposite. Find out what makes you tick and just keep running around the clock until you're happy enough to die."
I like that little statement when you factor in that a song's whole chorus is like TikTok boom.
You're right. We're playing directly to the subject matter of this record. Find out what makes you tick and just keep running around the clock until you're happy enough to die is such a it's the kind of statement that's got you reconsidering your life choices in some weird way. So it's like, am I fulfilling myself?
Right. It's like, is this something that they pulled from The Matrix?
This feels pointed in a way. Yes. You know what I mean? You cannot grow new parts without leaving the dead ones behind. So this album is all theoretically about growth, right? It's about washing your hands of the old you, making new choices moving forward. That's the vibe we're getting?
To me, it is, yeah.
Quote, "We never want to write the same album twice," explains guitarist Scotty Simpson. Half Living Things is still heavy, but we're venturing into new territory. Metalcore fans bracing themselves right now. Loki sounds like a force of nature on this too. We consider the live show more than ever, creating parts specifically for crowd involvement. These songs are built to ignite the stage. Half Living Things is still heavy, but we're venturing into new territory. Marks, I'm actually a little baffled by this one because I do feel that ultimately on this record, and we'll get into it in a little bit, Alpha Wolf cannot overcome who they are on the inside. They simply cannot they are overpowered by their true selves on this record.
Overpowered.
They can say all they fucking want
by the wolf inside.
Right. But ultimately the true Alpha Wolf emerges not 2 tracks into this album and it never leaves. So I will say that if you were, as a metalcore fan, coming into this album being like, all right, let's hope the homies stay true. Let's hope.
Wipe that sweat off your forehead right now.
Yeah. I assure you, Alpha Wolf stayed true to the cause. Scotty leaves off with this message. Quote, "We hope it connects. We're incredibly proud of this record. It's everything we want Alpha Wolf to be. These songs are heavy, but they're fun. Jam it in your car, show it to your friends, come out to a show."
You know how you said Alpha Wolf can't help who they are?
Yeah.
I also get that in some of the quotes that they supply, like the ones we just read here. Yeah. Because they're essentially they keep just circling back to the fact that Alpha Wolf is just supposed to be in your face. They're don't really overthink this one, people.
But it's funny because a lot of bands make those same comments because they know they're playing to an audience. They're trying to help satiate, at the very least with their words, the appetite they know a certain fan base of theirs has, right? So we see a lot of bands do this song and dance. They're like, don't worry, y'all. Still heavy. Still some of the most ignorant shit you've ever heard. Maybe one of the heaviest songs I've ever written on this album. I don't know.
Right.
And then you end up hearing the album and it's like, I don't know. You were kind of lying. I feel like you pulled one over on me. Yeah. Not at all the case with Alpha Wolf. No. This is the Alpha Wolf you've come to know. They are disgustingly heavy. It is the case for around exactly 12 tracks or 11 tracks of this album with their one token ballad, which they also had on the last album. This feels like Alpha Wolf experimenting a little. Yes. But more so than not, working
they still
to
try
refine the things that people really like about them to begin with, which is incredibly in your face style of metalcore, style of lyricism, style of production.
They stay very true to the sound that they have established over the last album, the EP that came before that. Anything they've done with Loki, this sounds like an extension of that. And you're right, like there is very clearly some experimentation here, but not to the point where anything sounds overtly out of place.
I would argue that in an instance where you feel like this band is taking a swing with like the Ice-T feature, I actually think Ice-T feels right at home here.
Definitely.
In a way that does not make it stand out in any capacity, other than the fact that I think it's like a really good choice in that sense. But it doesn't feel like one that's out of left field. It feels right at home. And then, like, I remember we talked about Whenever You're Ready like a couple weeks back, right? And we were like, yeah, you know, I don't know. You know, maybe I like Bleed From Within a little better. Bleed From Within. Bleed For You. The ballad from the last album. And maybe this one doesn't quite connect. I think circling back and listening to this song again, it works great for me.
Super connects for me.
And it works great in this album. And it's a nice little, like, breather before you get into, like, 7 straight fucking ass beaters.
I mean, those are also my feelings around Sucks to Suck. I do not remember that song really clicking for me when it initially dropped.
I've been a diehard sucker. You know me. Since day one.
You're a real sucker?
That's correct. Day one.
And then on this album, I don't think the audiences have heard it yet, Haunter. Haunter Sucks to Suck, Whenever You're Ready makes for probably my favorite 3 tracks. Like the 3-track 1, 2, 3 punch on this record, that's got to be it for me.
I don't know exactly what this band means when they say they're experimenting, but from the production end of like glossing up a song a little bit, glazing up a song a little bit, Haunter is it. Like, whatever little bit of spice they threw on that song elevates it above, for me personally, every other track on the album. For me, Haunter runs away with it. Favorite
Haunter,
track by far.
Of course, the 69th Pokemon out of the original 151. Is it actually
number 69?
I'd love for it to be true. And then as long as we're, you know, giving some context for song titles, Tim, A Terrible Day for Rain comes from Full Metal Alchemist. The Alchemist got a little teary-eyed that day that he learned he was full of metal. And he was a little frankly embarrassed.
I don't know if you're fucking with me anymore, if this is true. I don't know.
I'm definitely fucking with you. It is from Full Metal Alchemist, but I'm not going to spoil what it's about. I'm not going to give that context.
Has made it clear they fuck with anime a little bit. So, like, I don't know. This could have been
a little
dead
bit
on to me. What a weird swing on your end. What a weird.
That was a funny joke.
It was
Fuck
funny.
you.
It was all right. It was all right. It was funny. It was good. It was funny.
And then we get right into the heavy ones back to back to back. Fucking Pretty Boy Mangekyo. I don't know what that one is.
I'm gonna find out it's actually related to Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, maybe. No, Terrible Day for Rain is. It's like that fucking gif that goes around.
Are you fucking with me or are you not fucking with me? Now I don't know.
The fucking soldier who's fucking, this is like the fucking season finale of Full Metal Alchemist. I don't fully know, but I know it is from Full Metal Alchemist.
I've actually watched pretty much all of Full Metal Alchemist.
And he gets like all teary-eyed, and then he's like, brother, what a fucking terrible day for rain. It's clearly not raining, and the guy's just embarrassed he's crying.
What an incredible name for a song, then. What an incredible
That's all I'm
name
saying.
For a song. I love it.
Not that emotional of a song from like sonically.
It's just like, I really truly feel like there's not a lot to chew on here. Like, if you like the fucking distortion on your bass
respectfully
to fucking cripple your hearing the second this band like gets into it, it's nearly 11 tracks of that exact shit over and over again.
Pretty Boy Put Me on My Ass, fucking Double-Edged Demise puts you on your ass, fucking Half Living Things puts you on your, all of it puts you on your ass.
It's very satisfying in that sense. I will say that for me personally, I'm excited to see how this band really pushes the boundaries on the next album. But I think that for a project that's still pretty early in their career, to kind of stay in this level of like this like refinement stage.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, this isn't like While She Sleeps. We're not 8 albums deep. I'm not gonna say, hey guys, maybe let's fucking shake up the formula a little bit, which, you know, they did in some ways. Alpha Wolf, A little bit less of the pushback on there. I think this band sort of like doubling down on what they do well. Still in the perfect time frame of their career to be doing that.
Sure.
Especially when, you know, you go back and you look at that statement and we're talking about like songs that like, hey, what's going to ignite a fucking crowd? Like for a live show, that mentality plays and I hear it on this album.
That's like one of my favorite, like when a band is purposefully driven to improve the live experience. And again, like Alpha Wolf's already a great live experience, but yeah, I remember Broco between albums, Automatic and Technology said like, we realized a lot of Automatic wasn't transitioning to the live setting as much as we hoped. So when we wrote Technology, the bulk of it was directly after playing a set and trying to feed off of the energy we just got from that crowd.
Just like Edward transmutes energy into other energy, if I remember the premise of that show. Edward, the main character of Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh, I thought you were dropping a hard Twilight reference on my head.
I'm dropping a hard Twilight
reference. Just a fucking...
Just out of left field right
there. An anvil of
So that's ultimately where I stand. It's like, this is an easy recommendation for me. I think this is like an 8 out of 10. I think that it may not have my favorite Alpha Wolf songs of all time. I'm going to be honest. Like, I don't think... personally, Akudama exists on this record, or a song that I think is as explosive as Akudama was, especially when I first heard it. But overall, I enjoyed my time with it. It achieves exactly what it set out for, and I think it nets Alpha Wolf a nice little banger that they can bring out on tour for a couple of years before they go back into the studio and start fucking around.
Definitely a more refined sound than the one we got on the last album. And for that purpose, I think it's a better one without, like you said, having higher peaks than that record did. Personally, for me. It doesn't affect my overall score. I come in slightly under you, by the way. What did you give it?
An 8.
I'm at a 7.5 on this one.
I will also, well, actually, I'm curious if maybe we end up having the same thing and I just forgot to mention it.
Well, this part doesn't really affect my score, but I was slightly disappointed. Like you said, you didn't mind the refinement of the sound. I was a little bugged that there wasn't a little bit more experimentation on this one, in the sense that, like, you know, I did kind of want to see where this band would go. And we didn't really get a good indication on this album. Like, there's not even like a super out of left field song that like leaves me thinking like, oh, damn, there's a lot of room to explore with a sound like that on the next album.
I thought we'd get it with Ambivalence, and we didn't. Like, I'm looking at the closer on that album, and I'm thinking, all right, this is gonna be the one where we're gonna do something.
It's a longer
that's a little
track,
more abstract, maybe, but it ends up being, you know, fairly straight ahead, I suppose. Not a bad song.
Good chorus.
Just, you know, you think that like bands sort of like set themselves up in a certain way to like, hey, we know this last track on the album is where we can do something a little bit more experimental. You see it happen a lot, and this just wasn't the case.
I like the continued like imagery of like butterflies in this band's sound, you know, lyrically and visually as well, of course, you know, damn near on album covers at this point and whatnot.
The overall tone, like the half living things, like the sort of like paint brush stroke that is sort of like implemented here, I like as well. I do feel like there is some level of like narrative cohesion here, or at least like thematic cohesion, like you're saying. Yeah.
I guess ultimately where I land, and this is probably going to be words that bring relief to some of the fan base that we've already alluded to plenty of times and outright said earlier in this discussion, but like, this is an Alpha Wolf ass album, and for me that is personally slightly disappointing, but I still like Alpha Wolf, and getting an Alpha Wolf ass album from Alpha Wolf is still a good thing, but it's not exactly what I was looking for. Which is why, again, 7.5. It didn't completely rock my world. And
it's not the most exciting conversation piece, but it is extremely enjoyable to listen to.
Credit to this band. I see everything on here transitioning to the live setting extremely well. So as far as, you know, executing on a goal, bravo. You did what you set out to accomplish. Was I hoping for something a little meatier, something more to chew on? Personally, yes. But fans of this band are going to be all over this one. I'd be surprised if they weren't.